You just got that positive test. You're thrilled, you're terrified, and somewhere in the back of your mind, a very specific New York City thought is starting to form. Where is this baby going to sleep? Because here's what nobody tells you when you move to New York in your 20s. The apartment that was perfect for 1 or 2 people is not remotely designed for 3. That 1 bedroom in the East Village, the studio and a half in-house kitchen, the open plan loft in Williamsburg that you loved at 28. None of those were built with a crib, a stroller, a diaper genie, and a complete loss of closet space in mind. And in 2026, the market is not forgiving to families who figure this out late. So today, we're getting into all of it. Where families are actually moving, what the numbers look like right now, how school zones work and why they matter more than most people realize until it's too late, and most importantly, what your timeline needs to look like if you want to make this move without panic. Let's go. First, let's talk about the market as it actually exists right now, because I'm not going to sugarcoat this. Manhattan median rent hit roughly $4,700 to close to $5,000 a month in early 2026. That's up nearly 9% from a year ago. And if you're looking at a doorman building, you're averaging over $5,200 a month. Now that's the 1 bedroom number. You're expecting a baby. You need 2 bedrooms, probably 3 before you know it. The jump from a 1 bedroom to a 2 bedroom in most Manhattan neighborhoods isn't a small upgrade. It could be anywhere from $1,500 to $2,000 more per month in the exact same building. On the buying side, New York City median home sale price is hovering around $790,000 right now. Listings are down about 9% from a year ago, and 3-bedroom rents in Q1 of 2026 jumped 7% just in that first quarter alone. There's a stat from one recent market analysis that stopped me. In Carnegie Hill, on the Upper East Side, the median 3-bedroom is now asking $7,600 a month. That is the neighborhood a lot of professionals aspire to raise kids in. And the math simply doesn't work for most families. So what does work? That's what we're breaking down right now. Brooklyn has been the answer to the "we're having a baby" question for about 2 decades now. And the instinct is still largely correct, but you need to know which part of Brooklyn. Park Slope is the archetype. Brownstones, Prospect Park, right there is your backyard, a dense community of families who've made the exact same move, and some of the best elementary school zoning in the borough. District 15, which covers Park Slope, is consistently one of the most sought-after school districts in the entire city. PS 29 has a great schools rating of 10 out of 10. The trade-off, brownstone prices are well into the millions. You're not going to find a bargain here. If Park Slope's price point is a stretch, let's take a look at Bay Ridge on the southern end of Brooklyn, one of the most affordable Brooklyn neighborhoods. Historic Victorian and brownstone homes, genuinely community-orientated. This is a neighborhood with neighbors who know each other. Home prices are meaningfully lower, and it has the kind of stability that's increasingly rare. Carroll Gardens, Cobble Hill, Ditmas Park, all solid options for families who want the Brooklyn lifestyle without living directly on top of the Park Slope premium. 5-year appreciation in Brooklyn is real. Greenpoint is up over 30%. Borough Park up 28%. These aren't fluke numbers. They reflect consistent family demand. Now I'm going to tell you something that I genuinely believe is underutilized by growing families in New York. Queens is the best value move in this city right now, and most people are not making it. Let me give you the numbers first. Queens rents average 30 to 40% below Manhattan for comparable space. The median home price in Forest Hills is around $580,000 versus the $790,000 citywide, and much higher in comparable Brooklyn neighborhoods. Forest Hills specifically is a remarkable neighborhood for families. You have Forest Park, 500 acres of actual forest inside the city. You have Tudor-style houses that feel like a different world from Manhattan. Excellent schools, including Forest Hills Montessori. Easy transit via the E, F, M, and R trains that get you to Midtown in under 30 minutes. District 28 in Queens, which covers Forest Hills, Jamaica Estates, and Kew Gardens Hills, is home to the Queens High School for the Science at York College, ranked third in all of New York State by US News. 100% of students proficient in English, 98% in math. You're not sacrificing education quality here. Bal Harbour led Queens in year-over-year appreciation. Jamaica is up 33.5% over 5 years. Douglaston is up nearly 25%. And then there's this. Queens is the most ethnically diverse urban area on the planet. For families raising children in 2026, that's not a footnote. That's a feature. The food, the cultural richness, the exposure, you cannot replicate that in a suburb at any price. The honest case for Queens, you get more space, better value, comparable commutes, and excellent schools. The only thing you're giving up is the ability to say, I live in Manhattan. And I'd invite you to ask yourself honestly how much that's worth versus an extra bedroom and $1,500 a month. I also want to spend a minute on the Bronx because the appreciation data here is some of the strongest in the entire city right now, and families are sleeping on it. Norwood is up 12% year over year. Concourse up 11%. Baychester up 8.4%. These are real gains in neighborhoods with real families and real community. Riverdale has long been the Bronx neighborhood that attracts families with school-age children. Suburban filling streets, genuinely suburban with single-family homes and yards. Right on the Hudson River, with some of the strongest public and private school options in the outer boroughs. The financial case for the Bronx is also compelling for buyers specifically. The entry points are frequently under $1 million, which matters because crossing that $1 million threshold in New York City triggers the mansion tax. That's an additional 1% on the purchase price. On a $1.1 million property, that's $11,000 in additional closing costs you avoid entirely by staying under that line. The Bronx gives families realistic paths to home ownership that Brooklyn increasingly does not. New, family-oriented buildings are opening here too. Developments like Estella in the Bronx offer children's playrooms, rooftop terraces, and waterfront access. The product has genuinely improved in the Bronx. And moving into Staten Island has a reputation problem that I think is deeply unfair, and I want to address it directly. Yes, you need a car. Yes, the ferry is a real commute. Yes, it's not the same subway grid as the other boroughs. But here's what Staten Island actually offers a growing family. A detached house with a real backyard, where your kids can play outside. Neighborhoods where people know each other. Lower crime rates than most of the city, good public schools, and the lowest price per square foot of any borough in New York. In 2026, a yard for your kids is not a trivial thing. It's genuinely hard to come by, and in Staten Island, it's accessible at a price point that would give you a 2-bedroom condo in Brooklyn. The families I've worked with who've moved to Staten Island for a baby, they stay. The data backs this up. Staten Island has the most stable family population of any borough. People don't leave because of the trade-offs. I need to spend real time here because this is where I see families make the costliest mistakes. In New York City, your home address determines your public school zone. This is divided into 32 school districts, and most districts are carved into individual school zones. You enroll at your zone school and your child is guaranteed a seat. Here's why this matters for your housing decision. 2 apartments on the same block can be in completely different school zones, and the quality variance between zones is enormous. The difference between a great schools rating of a 4 and a 9 can be a single street. So before you fall in love with an apartment, before you seriously look at an apartment, type that address into the New York City Schools website and find out which elementary school it's zoned for. Then look up that school. This is non-negotiable research. The standout public school districts for families right now are District 15 in Brooklyn, Park Slope, Carroll Gardens, Cobble Hill, consistently among the best in the city. District 2 in Manhattan has strong elementary schools, but with Manhattan price tags to match. District 26 in Eastern Queens, excellent reputation, less discussed than Brooklyn options. And District 28 in Queens, think Forest Hills, Kew Garden Hills, are strong across all grade levels. You can also apply to schools outside your zone, and the DOE fills seats after zone students are registered. Some highly regarded schools on the Upper West Side do accept out-of-zone applicants, but you can't always count on it. Build your housing search around the school zone and treat out-of-zone acceptance as a bonus, not a plan. So one more thing, New York City also has gifted and talented programs citywide, as well as choice schools where there's no zone at all. Districts 1, 7, and 23 operate this way. If your child tests into a gifted and talented program, your zone school matters less. But that's a conversation for when your child is closer to kindergarten age, not when you're apartment hunting with a due date. Now let's talk money, the full picture, not just the rent delta. Here are the costs families consistently underestimate when making this move. Let's start with broker fees. In New York City rental market, broker fees are typically 12 to 15% of the annual rent. On a $4,500 month apartment, that's $6,480 to $8,100 due at signing on top of your first month's rent and security deposit. No fee listings exist, but often fold the cost into higher rent, so you need to budget for it. Moving cost. A standard local New York City move for a 2 to 3 bedroom apartment runs $1,500 to $3,500, depending on the distance, building access, and time of year. Peak season, which falls May through September, commands a premium. And a heads up for 2026, congestion pricing is now fully in effect citywide. Moving companies going into Manhattan below 60th Street are passing those fees through. Ask your mover explicitly. If you're buying, closing costs run 2 to 4% for co-ops, 3 to 5% for condos. So on an $800,000 property, that's $24,000 to $40,000 in transaction costs. Know this number before you make an offer. The income math on renting. Most New York City landlords require annual income of 40 times the monthly rent. So a $4,500 apartment requires a household income of $180,000 annually to qualify. If you don't hit that threshold, you'll need a guarantor. Building logistics. New York City buildings require a freight elevator reservation. Most have strict move-in hour windows. Many require certificates of insurance from your moving company. These aren't deal breakers, but they can cost you money and stress if you don't plan for them. None of these costs are reasons not to make a move. They're reasons to plan for them deliberately. This is the one piece I want you to actually take action on after this video. If you're pregnant right now, here's your timeline. The first trimester, start seriously looking, not casually browsing, actually engaging with the market, going to open houses, talking to a broker, understanding what's available and what price is in your target neighborhoods. During the second trimester, you want to make your move. Ideally, you want to have a signed lease or gone into contract on a purchase by the end of your second trimester. And here's why. A typical New York City rental transaction, the search period, application, approval, move-in, takes 4 to 6 weeks. A purchase takes 60 to 90 days to close after you found the place, which can take months. If you wait until the third trimester, you're moving with a 7-month valley and you're moving with a newborn. I've seen both and neither is recommended. The families who do this well start earlier than feels necessary, narrow their focus to 2 to 3 neighborhoods before they begin touring, know their must-haves versus nice-to-haves, and are ready to move quickly when the right place appears. The families who struggle start the search when the nursery furniture arrives, treat every neighborhood as equally valid, lose 3 offers before adjusting their approach, and end up moving in a panic 3 weeks before the due date. Start now, not next month. Now. Look, having a baby in New York City is one of the most wonderful, chaotic, expensive, and ultimately rewarding things a person can do. Trust me, I know. This city is not set up to make it easy. But millions of families have figured it out. And the ones who do it well share one thing in common. They thought about the home piece early. They were honest about what they needed. And they made a decision based on the next 5 years, not just the next 5 months. If you're in that season right now, I hope this was useful. If you have specific questions about neighborhoods, about the buying versus renting math, about school zones, drop them in the comments and I'll address them either there or in a follow-up video. And if you know someone who just found out they're expecting and they live in New York, send them this video. That person needs information, not panic. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss my next video.